Before we get into setting up jobs and so on, there are several default settings that you need to go through to make a calendar really function well. For example, if you go to Tools and Code Manager, there are several drop-down values that we need to go ahead and set. For example, under Cases, I have a case type. Case is something that is much larger than the individual jobs on each day. And you guys can set up all the different type of cases you guys do. Med mal, personal injury, product liability, and so on. So these are your listings. And you can make one of them as a default. Notice that I made a blank as my default. You can have a blank as your case type, because what I'm saying here is that case type to me is not that critical. And I don't want to keep picking the case type on every case we do. I just make a case type blank. And if somebody wants to set a case type, fine. Otherwise, just leave it blank. There's another one. Under jobs, I have things like an expert type. When witness is scheduled, do I care about whether he's an expert, yes or no, or medical? So these are settings that I entered. And you notice that I made no as my default. So every time I schedule a new job, the witness will come up in the expert type as no, because more than 50% are not experts. But your default might be different. Again, job type. This one is critical because, for example, my default is depot because more than 50% of the time, that's what I do in our code reporting company. Then you might have a job called video, trial presentation, video conferencing, or captioning, court appearance. These are all the different things you guys do that you can enter in the code manager and make one of them as your default. The second area, when you go to Tools, also there is System Preferences. That's your global settings. This is what governs everybody. First is User Preferences. Under Personal, that only affects one user, you. So whatever you change in the user preferences only governs the one computer, whereas under Tool, System Preferences governs everyone. So this is a global settings. And there are several things you need to do pertaining to calendar. For example, set a color scheme for your job status. Actual statuses you cannot change, but colors you can. For example, I made confirmed job green color, means go, cancel ones red, stop, don't go, and turned in blue, billed is gold because it's money. Now don't go crazy with the color, because if you have too many colors, then it's going to be hard to see what's what. So I just pick maybe major 4 or 5 and set distinct bright color for that. Also, in the job settings, there are some defaults you can set. For example, if you're a brand new firm starting on RB8, you need to set the starting job number. Once you set a starting job number, from that point on, job number will be issued by RB8 automatically, sequentially. Since there are also invoice numbers issued by RB8, I recommend that you make job number and invoice number far apart. For example, I like to start job number at 5,000 or 10,000. I'll probably make my invoice number start at 500,000 or a million so that they will not be confused. So pick a job number here. Also, pick a starting time and end time. Now, you notice that I made a start time 5 a.m. in the morning. As you know, no depot will start at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning. The reason I set that is to use that as a flag to indicate that calendar person has not changed the start time. So when I do a daily audit of jobs later, I'll be looking for jobs that has a start time of 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. if you want to set it to that. So set the start time to something ridiculous. They'll never start at that particular time. There are several emails we'll be sending out. For example, as soon as we schedule a job, we like to send out what's called confirmation email to the client immediately, or some people call it acknowledgement of scheduling email. Well, you need to set some of those settings here. When you go to confirmation email setting, what do you want the subject to be? You have to be very careful with the subject line and the body of the email, because a lot of the spam filters are looking for a particular word like discount, deal. So you need to avoid those obvious spam words. So here you can also add a data field. For example, when you compose this body of the email or subject line, you can go to actions and add data field, and you can add all these things here. And then we have cancellation email. That's when job is canceled. I like to send them a confirmation of a cancellation. And then there is a worksheet email. That's for the court reporter. So when you assign and notify your reporters or other resources like a videographer, interpreter, scopist, whatever, you will be sending out emails to them. So you need a subject line, body of the email. At the bottom here, that is the text that you want to send when you send them a text message to their cell phones. It's called SMS. That needs to be very brief because the maximum length is only 160 or 170 characters long. You can add certain data fields by going into actions here. So I'll just simply say job notification from your court reporting company name, job date, start time, add location, and then check the email or web for more details. So that's what will be sent to each reporter's cell phones. There are a couple more. When we send an email to secretary or paralegal, they have an option to import that email because there will be a file attached called iCalendar into their Outlook, whether their laptops or desktop computer or even their Blackberries or PDA like an iPhone. They can import that. This is the iCalendar format, their subject and a body of the message. That also goes for the worksheet because some reporters might be using Outlook at home and they like to import the job scheduling into their Outlook calendar using iCalendar file. Now these are the global settings. Lastly, you will go to personal and user preferences. There are several settings you need to set here. For example, business unit. If you guys have several satellite offices or revenue centers, for example, a lot of court reporting firms might have a main office that handles the depot. Then they might have a different division, handles the video conferencing, trial presentation. You just need to tell the system on this computer what is your default business unit. So every time new job screen comes up, it'll default to business unit of Houston main office here. In my example, I have an office in Austin and I have a New York office and so on. So I have all these different branches. And in this case, I work at Houston office. So that's what my default is. And also you need to say what time zone you work in because when the new job screen comes up, it automatically defaults to a particular time zone. So if I work at the Houston office, then my time zone is Central. And also always check that box. We have a built-in RB8 clipboard which you can copy and paste attorney name, firm name, reporter name, and things like that. And you can select a maximum clipboard count, 1, 3, 5, 10. I like as many as possible, so I just select 10. So before you guys start a calendar in earnest, go through these settings so that it'll make your calendar or job settings much smoother for everybody.